Great, great. Well, hello everybody. I am going to be presenting to you the topic of the Vikings. Now, right there, you have a question posed to you. So I want you to tell me, just off the top of your head, who were the Vikings?
The Vikings were a type that came after, I don't remember exactly the order, but they came after the Gauls. That's what I remember.
They were Nordic?
The Gauls were the first one.
That's interesting, yeah. To where?
To where what?
To where? Did you say they came?
They came to like United Kingdom.
United Kingdom. Great. Great. And anyone else?
They were Nordic?
Nordic. Good. Right. Just say whatever's in your mind. I know you know about the Vikings. So I'm sure I can still teach you things about the Vikings, but be free. Okay.
They came from...
I don't know, as the picture shows, I think they were like men like to be in war. I don't know. And there were like 3 tribes.
Yeah.
What?
Could be.
No. I'm sorry. I'm confused with the others. Which one am I confusing? I don't remember now. The Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those were 3 tribes.
Yes,
Were the
yes.
Anglos, the Saxons, and the
Yes.
Jutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Mauricio.
I think the Vikings came from Scandinavia, I think. And one thing that I remembered about them, it was the Viking used to rob the clergymen. I mean they used to rob the church because the church had many things. It was like the rich people,
Yeah.
so they used to rob them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so you are very knowledgeable about the Vikings still. So, to begin with, as you can see in that picture, so that you get a first impression, they were warriors. They were fierce warriors. That is what they are most known for in history. As you can see, there you have them dressed in their typical war clothing. They didn't use, the Romans, they wore like armor, they were full of metal, from head to toe. The Vikings weren't like that. The Vikings just fancied an axe and some paintings. They used to paint themselves, and they also used to tattoo themselves. They had techniques for tattooing, and according to the rank of the warrior, it was the kind of tattoos that they would have. So the best warriors and the oldest ones would be like all tattoos. It was something like that. So as you can see, their weapon of choice was an axe. They had all kinds of axes, but they also used archery. Especially, and this is interesting, their women, some of their women were fighters. Yeah, they were called Valkyries. The Valkyries, some known term, were the women of the Vikings, which, they were given in marriage, and marriage existed in their society, and the men were usually the ones to go into fighting, but if the women wanted, they were trained since young age, and they learned about fighting and war. But they didn't go into hand-in-hand combat. They were mostly archers, so they would shoot from far. Yeah, those are the Valkyries. They were really scary. Yeah. So, as you can see there, that's a map. That's a map of Europe, the whole of Europe, and it's focused on Scandinavia. So, from this map, where do you think the Vikings inhabited firstly, or which countries were their homeland?
Their what?
Norway.
Their homeland, yeah.
Norway, Sweden, and Iceland.
Norway, Sweden, and Iceland. That's good. Anyone else? Okay. You can guess, that's okay. Okay. So, in the very beginning of the Viking tribes, this is an important topic because there are many scholars and historians which disagree about this, about the true origin of the Viking tribes. Some say that they are descended from the ancient Gothic tribes, which were Germanic tribes, which inhabited parts of Russia and lower to Asia and the Middle East. But that's not important. The important thing is that the Vikings, as we know them, inhabited in Scandinavia. And they inhabited in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. This country, Finland, no, they didn't live there. The Finnish were another tribe. They were known as the Suomi. We are not going to talk about them. And yeah. So, Iceland is an interesting country because it was discovered by the Vikings, but in the beginning, Iceland was nobody lived there. It was uninhabited. The Vikings discovered it because they were very powerful and very known sailors. They had great ships. They had many kinds of ships for war and for sailing. It is said, some legends say, or even some authors say that the Vikings went as far as to reach North America, so that they were the first colonizers of the Americas. And there are even some settlements, in the United States, in the areas of Minnesota, and the northern parts of the U.S.
I heard that Annika once told us something about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Annika was something.
Great. Yes. She said she knows some Vikings. Some friends.
They really look like Vikings because they were like just really longer.
Yeah. Okay, but in the beginning they inhabited in Sweden and in Norway and in Denmark too. There is a distinction to be made about the Swedish Vikings and the Norwegian Vikings because all of them were farmers. Besides the war and the killing people, they were farmers. They had many techniques for farming. They were masters of it, especially because of the land that they lived in. Scandinavia is very arid, it's very cold, a lot of snow. The earth is not very good, so they had to be good at farming to survive. So all of them were farmers, but the Norwegian ones were mostly into war, into raiding, into invading other countries. The Swedish ones, they were into war, but they were also into trading. They developed merchant routes, and they not only went in the raids to invade the British Isles, but they also went this way. But we're going to talk about that later. So, about the raiding of the Vikings, the first raid they did to the United Kingdom, as you correctly said. They occurred throughout the 8th century. The first place that they arrived to was called Northumbria, which was one of the kingdoms of Britain, of the British Isles, and they got there and they found that the land was totally unprotected. There were no soldiers, no cavalrymen, no fortress, no walls. So they just arrived to the beach and they looked and it was like heaven to them. It was like paradise because they saw the cities, which were not that big, but they had monasteries and a lot of people. And when they got into the monasteries, they saw the gold, all the gold that they had, because the monasteries were decorated with golden stuff, with golden treasures, candles and symbols of the cross, because they were Christians. So they were full of treasures. And so they were very vicious and bloody. They killed killed everybody in their path. They murdered all the priests, the women, the children. Some of the women they would take as slaves back to their land, but most of the people they just murdered. So that was their deal. Yeah, that's how they rolled. So and that's how they started invading and raiding the UK. This became quite an issue to the UK, because as soon as that happened, of course, the kings of the different kingdoms they started to find out. They started to find out that their lands were being raided, that the people were being killed, and most importantly, that the riches were being stolen. So the kings they had to do something. And at first, they thought to make war against the Vikings. They started building fortresses, walls, and raising armies to protect themselves against the Vikings. But soon they found out that they couldn't. That the Vikings, they were lesser in number, but they will just win the war almost instantly. Like the British soldiers could oppose no resistance, because there was something about the psyche of the Viking, the mentality of them, that the English soldiers didn't have. And it was because in their very culture, which was surrounded about war, about killing, and the British didn't have that, because they were Christians, they were, they had houses, wives, they had an economy, mercantilism, they were more advanced, you could say. But the Vikings, they weren't.
It's like the Vikings were like meant to kill, only like the aim of their existence was like war, kill, and steal and destruction. Oh my god.
Yes, and you could also make a correlation to their religion, to their religious beliefs, because the British they were Christian, and the Christian religion is kind of a religion of peace, but the Vikings, they were pagans. Their religion, pagans is a term to refer to any religion that has many gods. So they were pagans, but their religion was one of the pagan religions. They had the god Odin and Thor. We're going to talk about them later. But the thing is that they have this thing called Valhalla, which is heaven, but for the Vikings.
It's like the ladies here.
Yeah, like the nightclub here inside.
Yeah.
Yes. So they had Valhalla, which was heaven, and
so it's like Viking heaven.
Yes.
I just.
And so you know that in Christianity, in order to get to heaven, you have to be like a good boy. You have to believe and be good and do good to your brothers. But the Vikings, they didn't have those requirements. In order to get to Valhalla, they needed to die in war. Yeah. If you were killed in battle, you would 100% go to Valhalla. So it was an honor. They weren't like killing themselves, like.
Yes.
But
They
they.
have to. I imagine like from what you are saying, like they have to die in battle because of the interest of the war. Like they didn't die actually there, but like I don't know, a month later, but from the interest of the war.
Yeah, that could also be, and they would go to Valhalla. But the Vikings that got the most honor and that were renowned were the Vikings that actually died in battle, or the ones that killed many people. So their whole culture revolves around war, around killing, and around dying in battle, killing other people. So that's very important to understand their mentality and how these people were so vicious. They so fearless that even their women went into battle and they didn't care to die there because that's how
It was
they.
better actually if they died in battle.
Yeah, that's how they rolled. The Vikings were like, and that's how they conquered so many territories. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the Swedish Vikings. This is Sweden, which later, around the 10th century, they got into trading. Their king saw that the rating was giving them many fruits, many treasures, many riches. But he also saw that there was something beyond that, something above that, which was the civilization, the trading, being in the merchants. So he wanted to get into it. So they started, instead of keeping going this route to Britain, they started going down this route. And when they got around here, they founded a place which was called Rus, only R-A-S, which would later become Russia. So they are kind of the founders of Russia. And they inhabited the land and they got settlements there. And later they continued to go down. They got as far as reaching Italy, some ports in there, Greece, Constantinople, which is the capital of Turkey, and they got even as far as reaching the Middle East, and yeah, but they weren't killing people, they were trading. They used to trade silver, silk, spices, and jewelry. Now, they also invaded parts of France. This is well documented. They got to Normandy and they even reached Paris through a river which I cannot remember the name, but it is the most known river of Paris, which crosses the whole city. So they entered there and they got to Paris in their ships and they invaded there. And, but the place where they made the most settlements was Britain. They would set the kings, the kings of Britain, when they saw that they couldn't defeat them, they started offering them settlements. They started offering them to settle because yeah, they didn't want to lose more riches and more soldiers and more lives. So it was easier to just hand them over a piece of land, sign a treaty, sign a piece of paper, and the Vikings would settle there, would be free to farm, the land would be their own. They didn't have to pay any tribute, nothing, they would just live there. So that's how they started to take over Britain and some of the northern parts of Britain. Now, about their religion. Do you know anything about the religion? I know we already spoke about. What's up?
You're on 18 minutes. I don't know.
Okay, it's
But
20, so it's like,
yeah, finish if you want.
yeah, I'm gonna finish.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Great.
So, their religion
There was like loads of laws. You
yeah,
said.
a lot of gods, but the most important ones were Odin. This is Odin, and Thor. This is Thor.
Yeah.
Odin.
The god. Was it the god? The god of the thunder or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Which one was that?
Thor.
Yes.
And you have to be like, what was it? The only, I don't know if not only him, but only a really small portion of people could pick up his hammer.
Yeah.
Because he was pure, or I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, Odin, which is the father of Thor, and it is like the biggest god. He's like the creator, and he fathered Thor.
And he has a brother, and he's mean.
The one that has a brother is Thor, and the brother is called Loki, yeah, which is kind of the embodiment of evil. The serpent, the betrayer, so kind of a correlation to Satan in Christianism. Okay, so Thor is the god of thunder. He commands thunder, and thunder obeys him. Yeah, that's his hammer. With his hammer, he calls down thunder, and thunder thunders. Yeah. Yeah, and also his hammer only he can pick it up because
only him.
yeah, it only responds to him.
Uh-huh.
Kind of a correlation to the sword of Arthur, King Arthur,
Yes.
that only him could pick it up from the stone. Yeah.
Because he was like the chosen one.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now I have a short video to show you, which I am going to do as soon as I can find it.